to my channel. My name is Morgan. Today I wanted to do a unboxing and trial run of my new Nesco pressure canner. I bought this one versus the other one for two reasons. The first reason being it is the most affordable out of the two options that I know of. I know of this one, and Presto makes a digital canner as well. I went through and watched a few reviews on these before I purchased as well, and one video that I found particularly helpful was one done by Pam Cantrell. She has a device that she uses to test these canners out and make sure that they are reaching the optimal kill zone for the bacteria that causes botulism. And I was really impressed with the findings from that video for this canner specifically. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me that I pick one that is affordable and passed all the tests that I've seen it put through. So let's break into this. This has actually been sitting on my counter for 2 days now, and it has taken all of my willpower not to open it and look at it and start canning something in it right away. It's a box inside of a box. From what I've read, you can get about 5 quart jars in here. We got our instruction manual, a warning about where to take it back if something's wrong with it. Oh, there she is. I'm so excited. I'm gonna get so much canning done in this. I know it can only do like 5 quarts versus my other canner can do more than that, but this will make it more realistic for me to achieve canning on a regular basis. Now I will have the option to, if I am home, to put something in here and run around the house and get some more cleaning done, get laundry done, maybe even get out to the garden, get some stuff in the garden done without worrying about it over pressurizing. This canner looks almost exactly like my pressure cooker that I have. My pressure cooker has a hinge like this for the lid as well. Also has a little humidity catcher. There's probably a name for this thing, but it like catches the liquid that comes off of the machine. And it also has an airtight / exhaust dial up here. I'll give you a closer look at it here in a second. Here's the red pin, and we've got our little dial here. Our options are WB steam, which I'm guessing stands for water bath, low, high, time, minus and plus buttons, start, slow cook, pressure cook, and brown, because in addition to being a pressure canner, you can cook in this as well. I'm going to read through these instructions a little bit to make sure I understand the machine before I get it going. And we're actually going to be test canning some chicken today. So we are going to can up some chicken, and which is currently thawing in the sink right now. And I'm going to kind of read up on this and make sure I understand it before we get going. All right, we're back. I got the canner wiped down like the instructions told me to do. It also came with 2 racks. This one's for the bottom to keep the jars from touching and possibly breaking from rattling around. And this one is to put in between your jars if you are stacking, which for this particular canner, the only jars that you can stack are the little jelly jars. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this aside and put this rack in the canner. It also came with this green pressure valve that's for if you live higher than 1,000 feet above water level. I don't, so I'm just going to use the one that came pre-installed on it. Also read in the instructions that it fits 5 pints and 4 wide mouth quarts. This particular canner also cannot water bath regular mouth quarts because regular mouth quarts are too tall for you to be able to cover it with enough water to properly water bath.
And just so you're aware, the more expensive Presto canner can fit 8 pints and 5 quarts in it if you are willing to pay a little bit more money in order to get a bigger quantity that you can can at once.
I'll only be doing 4 pints this time instead of 5 just because I ran out of chicken. So I feel a little bit bad for not running it at full capacity, but I don't really have anything else to put in this jar right now. Get the jars in the canner. And this canner only requires 2 quarts of water, as where a normal pressure canner would require 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that filled up now, and then we will move it over to the other counter space. This is what our cans are looking like in here. The lid doesn't quite fit open on my counter, so we're gonna go ahead and get this thing closed. Close it. Right here it says open and close, so we are just going to turn it to where it matches up with close. Plug it in. We're gonna make sure that this valve right here is turned to exhaust. There's a little arrow right here for exhaust. And then down here on the LCD screen, I know that I must have put the lid on correctly, because if you do not put the lid on correctly, it will light up right here and say lid. So you know that you need to fiddle around with it more to get it on just right. So now what I'm going to do here is hit high, because we are going to be pressure canning a low acid food. I'm going to set the time all the way up to 75, because it takes 75 minutes to process pints of chicken. Dang, that thing is loud. One thing's for sure, you're not gonna miss it beeping. That hurts my ears. Now I'm gonna hit start. Now this thing will heat up to the point where it is exhausting steam from the top of it. And then once it's hit the proper temperature, it will display E10, which means exhaust for 10 minutes. And it'll count itself down from the 10 minutes. Once it's done exhausting for 10 minutes, it will beep, and you come in here and you turn your little valve to airtight. And once it reaches the proper pressure, it will go ahead and start counting down the time that you entered to begin with. Okay, this thing just beeped and it's starting to count down, and it is letting steam out of the top here. I did have to move it back to the island because I tripped a breaker over there with our AC unit that's going, so it never got the pressure being over there. Okay, so I did miss this beeping. It says it's on 71 minutes countdown right now. I'm not sure why it says 71, because I have not changed the valve to airtight yet. I don't know if it just has that much pressure in it. But yeah, it's currently counting down, and I have not closed the pressure valve. So not sure why that is happening. But I'm gonna go ahead and switch this to airtight, and we will see what happens. I'm a little bit concerned that I didn't hear it beep, and I'm a little bit concerned that it started counting down before I closed the pressure valve. So just doing a check-in. We have 35 minutes left, and it is consistently spitting steam, which is normal according to the instructions. Okay, our canner just beeped and turned off. It is still steaming. I am gonna let it cool down here for about an hour, and then we will pull these jars out. Okay, so after I had the issue with the countdown timer starting and me not hearing the beep or switching it to airtight, I reread the instructions a couple times just to make sure I understood exactly what was going on, and it's supposed to do that. If you don't hear the beep and switch it to airtight, it starts to count down for 5 minutes, and then it will beep again. And if you still do not switch it to airtight, it will count down another 5 minutes, and then it will give you an error code, so that way it can't pressurize, so it'll just kind of shut itself down. Basically, you have like a 10-minute buffer time to come catch that it needs to be switched to airtight before it shuts down on you. So we're still good. I caught it within a couple minutes of that happening, and now it has been sitting for an hour and a half. I'm going to switch it from airtight to exhaust. Okay, that's good. No steam is coming out, so we know that it's probably okay to open. I'm gonna go ahead and try to switch this lid to the open position, And if I feel any resistance at all, I am going to stop and then let it cool down a little bit more, because then I know it's still not ready to be opened quite yet. Okay, switch to open, so we should be perfectly fine to open the canner. Whew. Watch your face. Usually I don't open when it's this hot. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, I'm not sure if it's going to show up on camera. Basically, I can tell that some of this chicken broth siphoned off a little bit into our pressure canner, which a little bit of siphoning is fine. I knew when I put these in there that they might be a little bit too full, because I was trying to make sure I got all of that chicken into my jars, because you can't really can a partial can. It's not safe to. Basically, as long as all of these four seal when they're done, they should be perfectly fine to use, even though the liquid did siphon a little bit. So let's get these out of here. I have my jar lifter. Oh, that looks beautiful to me. If you've never canned chicken before, it does look kind of weird at first, but once you try it, I mean, you'll be sold. It's so good. So my plans are to use this canner all day tomorrow and get a lot of canning done. So I will be using this several more times, and then I want to come back to you after I've used it quite a few times and kind of give you my final thoughts on how I feel about the Nesco canner. So I will get to canning, and I will see you here in a little bit. Okay, so I've been using my canner for about a week now, and I am so glad that I decided to use it for a little bit before coming back and talking to you about it, because I have had a couple issues with it. So what it was doing is, like, the first handful of loads that I ran, everything was running normal, and then by like my 5th batch, this would, it would do its dancing ant screen, and then it would count down from 10 to pressurize it. I would go to pressurize it, and then it would just not count down. It would just keep saying E0 and beeping, or it would give me the dancing ant screen again, and it just kept doing that. And I tried several loads after that. I went ahead and took my food out and recanned it. I tried several more loads after that. I went ahead and just filled some jars with water to test it out and see if I could get it working with just water in there. That way I wouldn't have to worry about losing whatever food was in it. And it kept doing the same thing over and over and over. And I thought, okay, maybe my water wasn't hot enough. I couldn't get it to start counting down. I would wait maybe like 2 to 3 minutes, maybe up to 5, and then I would unplug it, because I was worried that there was something wrong with it, like pressurizing. I didn't want it to over pressurize and cause any accidents. So I just kind of left it alone for a few days, and when I finally got around to it, I called that number that on the sheet when I first opened it, and it said, warning, like, do not take this back to the manufacturer, call us for help if you have any problems first. The one that I just kind of threw to the side, and I was like, I won't need this. I ended up needing it, and I dug through my pile of papers on the counter and found it, and called the number, and it took about 2 minutes to get my answer, and I was back up and running again. So I wish I would have called sooner, but I got on the phone with her and I described to the rep what was happening, and she was like, oh, yep, that's supposed to happen. Just wait for the dancing ant screen to go away, and it'll start counting down once it reaches pressure. It's just trying to pressurize. I was like, okay, that's it. So I went ahead and got another batch going of water, because I wanted to make sure that there was nothing wrong with this, and put it through its paces, tried to pressure can the water for 10 minutes, and sure enough, once it counted down and it did the dancing ant screen, she said it could do that for up to 20 minutes. I think it did it for about 10 minutes before it finally started counting down, and I haven't had any problems with it canning since. That being said, I have had another issue arise with it. Not a big deal, but if you're going to use this for cooking food, not canning, it might be something that you would want to be aware of. The non-stick coating on my insert for the canner has started bubbling and peeling up from the surface. So if you were going to cook food directly in this, you don't want non-stick coating getting in your food. That's not very safe. But I think I know why this happened to me. I pressure can with a little bit of vinegar in my water, and I, was doing batch after batch after batch, and I was trying to troubleshoot with it. So the water and vinegar mixture that I had in here sat for 3 or 4 days before I finally dumped it out. So I'm sure that the acidity of the vinegar probably had something to do with the nonstick coating coming off. So, I mean, it's not going to affect it for how I'm using it. I'm always going to use this as a canner because I have a separate one for food already. But I could see where that might be an issue. So, I personally, I would prefer if it came with no nonstick coating at all, just because I don't really like nonstick coating on my stuff because it like tends to flake after a while. But that's just kind of how most things come nowadays is with a nonstick coating. But yeah, there you have it. How the canner has been working for me. I really like this thing. I do wish that it held more, but I'm willing to give up the capacity that it will hold for me being able to put stuff in it at ease. It saves me time from having to watch my canner constantly if I have other stuff to get done around the house. And I think overall I'll be able to get a lot more canning done over the course of the whole season just because of how busy my schedule is with working 10-hour shifts now and just trying to keep up with everything on the weekends. So I hope that you liked this video and maybe got something useful out of it. If this encouraged you to get a canner, or maybe you were having the same problem as I was having and maybe this helped you figure it out. I really appreciate you watching, and I will see you soon. Have a great one. Bye.